I had a customer email me this file, and it's going to be a camper, hanging sign that they can put out. Some folks can put out when they're out camping. So he's never cut out of PVC before, so he wanted to get some ideas on what may be a good way to do it. So what he had was he's going to do the white base with the mountain scene cut into it. The badge is going to be cut out, painted black, and then glued to the base. The lettering is going to be cut out, painted orange and yellow, and then glued to the base. The characters are V-carved and engraved into the badge. And he had toolpath set up, but not on this particular file. So basically, I think what he's going to do is he's going to cut out this entire piece and have that as one layer. So he's going to take this and do a border cut on the outside. I'm going to go back in and set the material thicknesses up real quick, and we'll do like this 1/4 inch PVC trim, but I don't know for sure. He may be using 3/4, but I'm just going to put it at 1/4 and tell it okay. I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to make this be a 0.26 deep. We're going to cut right through it with a 1/4 inch bit on the outside. So it's going to go on the outside. I can easily make all those profiles and cut all the way through, and that will work fine. I can do that in probably easily 2 passes, probably 1. I haven't cut PVC with a down spiral in a while, but we get the idea. I'll add tabs, edit the tabs, put a tab here and here. I like to put them in the areas that I can get to easily with a belt sander. And if I want to take a tab away, I just go on top of it, click it again, and it goes away. So I'll have a nice easy curve here that I can play with. And that's the tabs, and I'm going to ramp in, and I'll do add a lead, so it's going to come in, be at depth, and then go. And we'll tell it to go. So profile cut out of the entire badge. And so that's that, and that looks good. He's going to engrave this, and it's just going to do a V-bit and engrave. Some of this will be deeper than the others. He's going to want to take these letters, and holding down the shift key to get these two. And he's going to want to do those as an inlay. So he's going to use a small bit, pocket this out, and then we're going to take that design and copy it to the male pieces, because he's going to cut the letters out. He's going to paint them and then push them into these pockets that are going to be created. And the beautiful thing is that it's going to adjust these corners of the parts, the male parts, to fit into this female part based on what tool we have. It's really a slick operation. So we're going to go to tool paths for the inlays, and the inlay is going to be just a straight inlay. Oh, I'm sorry, this was going to be the male, not the male. This is going to be the female. So let me cancel out. And we're going to do a pocket. And the depth of cut is going to be 0.125, half the thickness of the material roughly. I'm going to select a small bit. I'm just going to use a straight 1/8 inch end mill and just have to see how it works. It may not fit in everywhere, so we'll have to go to a 1/16. So that's why I like to do it with this first. Do the female part first. And we'll tell it OK. I've already selected everything that I need, and I'll tell it to calculate. And when we look at it, we can see it did not get everywhere we need to. We didn't connect the narrow parts of the A here. So we're going to have to change that tool to a 1/16 inch tool. And we can have multiple tools, because you can see here it made 2 passes. Well, with a 1/16 inch tool, it'll be going 4 passes. So we can have it do a 2-step operation, or just let it cut with a 1/16. So I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to change, I'm just going to remove that, and I'm going to go with a 1/16 inch end mill. And just let it take more time and go to town. And so now we'll calculate and make sure that we can get all these smaller, narrower parts. There we go. So everything worked. So we'll take that, and if we reset the preview and preview all, there's the mountain. We're out of order. This would be cutting out the border, and then this would be cutting the pocket for the letters, and it's adjusting the shape of it, you'll see, to suit the mail, what the mail piece can fit into as well. So that's kind of really strong. So at that point, we're going to take that information and we're going to do Control-C, Control-V. We'll make a copy of it and move it off of the material, because we're going to have to cut it twice. We're going to take this stuff and we're going to do the mail part. So I'll do the tool, and I'm going to do it as a straight part. And this is going to be 0.26 thickness of the material plus 10 thousandths into the material. We want to use the same tool. This is real important because they're made as complementary parts. I don't need, this is PVC. I'm going to cut down the number of passes. Again, I play with my tooling all the time. I don't know what it was set at. I didn't look at it. I don't care. The point is to teach how to do this design. And so these are going to be cutting on the outside. And how am I going to hold this down? I'm going to make sure I glue this. I'm going to bring these pieces together and cut them out of a single piece, but I'm going to put them on the CA glue and painter's tape. And I want to ramp in and ramp out. And mail inlay, and I'll let it go. It's cutting through. It is, yes. And so I'm going to take these and just, now that I've highlighted, I'm going to nudge them up closer because I can get this out of a piece of waste possibly, depending on what size he's getting everything. So I'm going to have it recalculate because I've moved it. And it's going to town. And everything is recalculated. And then he also wanted to take this entire piece, and he was painting that. The badge would be cut out and painted black and then glued back to the base. Okay, in order to get this, I want to grab this and this outside line, and we're going to cut that out and make a badge, but I want to get all these items in here too. And I want them to stay with it so that they're going to move with this as I make a copy of it and snag it out. Okay, so I've got all that, and I've got the border lines. I'm going to do Control-C, Control-V. So I made a copy of it, and then I'm going to just nudge it out. I'm using the down arrow. You can grab the handles too. I just am always used to doing this. Okay, so turn off the tool path. So what he's going to have, he's going to cut from here out, and that would be the base. And then into that base, he's going to do the engraving, this V carving for the mountains. And he's going to do the pocket inlay here for the letters. He's going to cut the letters out over here on a separate piece. So these are going to be cut out and painted and then pressed into the pockets that are created based on the tooling and the font. So it's really slick. And you can set your gapping and everything. And so this is the male parts of that that'll fit in this female pocket. And then over here, he will cut the badge and do the engraving out of a piece. So we're going to do profile cuts here. And so that'll be stacked up. This area will be double thickness on the material, on the overall piece. So that's going to be on the outside. That's fine. Outside of both lines are fine. I'll deal with hold downs later. Add ramps, that's fine. And this is the profile of stacked, what do he called it? Badge. And yes, it's going to cut through. And there we are. And we also want to do the engraving on this, all these small items. These are going to be very fine stuff. Holding down the shift key to get all the lines. And I'm just grabbing them one at a time. And we're going to do some, that's going to be so fine because of the size of those lines and how close they are. I'm just going to do a profile line on the edge, on the profile itself. And he's going to want to do 0.03125. He's going to want to play with this a little bit. It's going to be real important that he surface everything so that everything is perpendicular, so that these cuts on the far end of the badge are the same depth as I'm just going to do with an engraving tip, that's fine. So when he puts this down, we want to surface whatever his spoil board is so it's perpendicular to his spindle. Perfectly. Slips in his 1/4 inch material, cuts the overall piece out, does the engraving here, pockets out for the letters, and then that piece is done. On another piece, he cuts this out of the piece, does the engraving of all these with a V bit or engraving bit of all this, and on another piece, he does a pocket. He does the letters that are going to fit into the pocket. All these will be painted separately before you put them on. You got to think the paint's going to take up some space. You got to play with this. This isn't something you can just do the first time and know that you have it right. So what I do is I cut the letters. I cut this part out first because these are going to insert into this pocket. And in this pocket, I can play with the allowance a little bit. So I can cut this first, see if I can get the letters in. If the letters are too tight, I can come back in and just have it redo it again, but come with the pocketing allowance here to overcut a little bit and make this a little larger so that those letters can drop in. So there's a lot to it. It's a nice little project. And let's just kind of real quickly go through and calculate those. So I need to do, again, I started talking, so I need to do the profile cuts of the on the line for all these small graphic parts. And again, he may end up spraying this with paint and then coming back in and sanding off the surface paint. I don't know, but this is going to be very small detail lines. Of course, Yeti can do it. The question is how you're going to make it look right. And be visible. Okay, so I'm just going to let that go. I'm not going to go too deep, and this is going to be profile figures on the badge. Check. Depth. Make sure that the depth looks good. There's some duplicate vectors. When I was grabbing the wheel, there's some of the modifications I did here. There were vectors on top of vectors. So we're just going to let it go and see what that grabs. And then zoom in here and see what it looks like, because there may have been some of the vectors were duplicates. So I'm going to turn off all the tool paths. There's some delay here. Reset the preview. Looks like it's going to have pretty much everything. Preview, selected tool path. There's no material there, but it looks pretty good. So I'm going to tell it OK. And again, I can adjust the size of my material to get everything under that. But basically, if he's going to have, whatever size material this was, he sent me the file. So if this was an 18 by 18, he must have two 18 by 18 sheets if he's going to do this base and then this as a stacked piece, and then some of this can be cut even out of this. You can move it over to the side, so you break the individual letters out, the male letters out, and put them, around here and manually nest them basically. But I'm going to make this 36 by 36 so we can see all the work that we're going to do. Okay, there's a bit of a delay because of the processing for the video. Yes, it would cut through the material. Anytime it's recalculating material size, it makes it do everything. I'm just nudging it using the up and down arrows. And then a clean click. And then turn off the tool paths that we have here. These are the old tool pathing lines that it was showing us the offsets and things like that. So we'll turn those off. I'm going to grab this and just nudge it down a little bit just to get it on the sheet again. And then we'll turn on all the tool paths and tell it to go ahead and recalculate everything. It's going to town. It's not in order yet. I haven't ordered it. I'm just making sure everything's going to be visible and covered in what we need to do, and then we'll clean it up as to where it's going to be and what order and the rest of it. So I want to look at the rendering a little bit and preview all. And there we are. Okay, so sometimes it's very pixelated here. So what we can do, I'm going to have to recalculate everything, but I'm going to come over here and hold down the Shift key when I go into my materials and job setups. And then when I do this, I can go not just very high, but then I can go maximum and extremely high, and this really just adds to the resolution on screen. So I'll tell it OK. Again, it's going to make it calculate everything, and that's OK. I'm going to reset the preview and preview all. And it'll take a little longer this time to do the previews. And of course, that's out of order. I would rather, but let's just see that it got everything. So this is the base that we're going to have, and I've got some tabs in it, or I can use hold down tape. I've got the pocket for the letters. These are the letters being cut out over there. Again, we get to play with the allowance to make these fit into this. But if I cut these letters out first and then I change the allowance, I can make the pockets a little bigger. So I can put this on the table, set it up, cut it, and if the letters don't fit in, I can cut the letters, just these letters and these letters, again, with a little bit more tolerance and a little more slop in it so that I can get these letters to press in nice. My mountain is, got engraving into the material there. I'm not sure if he's just going to leave it white and let the PVC kind of look different, a different tone, or if he wants to spray that with paint and then sand everything off the surface. So this is all white, but anyway, there's dropped in mountains and trees, it stays dark. This was a problem. If we look at our engraving, I'm not sure what bit I used, but I'll have to go back and look at it, but we want to check that. But then this entire plate, this badge, will sit on top of this, and these letters will go into that. So the main thing I have to do is these profile figures on the badge, and I need to check the depth. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to flip this on the 2D on so I can see how deep I did it. Oh, I did a 1/4 inch end mill, so that's the issue. I think at one point I was going to do an engraving tip. That's an 1/8 inch. He may have a different 60 or 45 degree V-bit or something, but we'll just do this engraving tip, 15 degree. So we'll select that, slide down, recalculate. Again, we get the error about the duplicate vectors. I'm going to reset the preview and then just preview that selected, and that should be better. But that's, it's very small, so we've got to just keep playing with this. But these are, that's double lines right there. Or I could set up a V-bit and see if it'll stay inside that. But again, that's the idea and the concept. So I'm going to go a little deeper than the 30-second. Blah, blah, blah about the duplicate vectors. Reset the preview, preview selected. And there we go. So that's a little better. And, we get the idea. So yes, you can play with that and get it the way you want. So then we would look at the order of the parts order of the cutting. I would do the small stuff first. So I would do that. I could probably use the same bit as I used for the small characters here for the mountains, but I didn't look at what he had picked there. I don't care, but the idea is let's now make it work smart on the table so we can get the product cut and built. So I'll do my small tools first here. I would next do the carving for the mountains and trees. I would profile the entire badge last, and I would profile the stacked badge at the same time. That would be the same tool. I'm going to do the male inlay, and these need to be the same tool. And so I usually put the name of the tool, but as I hover on top of it and stay there, it's a 1/16 end mill for both of them. And the way I do my naming conventions, I usually come on here and I hit the right button and I rename, and at the end of it I put 0.0625 or P to stand for the point, because old files we couldn't put a period there, for the point 0.065. We couldn't do that before because it would screw up the file names. So it's just an old 0.065. And if I hover on top of that, that was a 1/4 end mill and a 1/4 end mill. Rename, so that was 0.25. And this way I can, when I look at these to 0.25, and this was 15 degree. And I would just go in and just change this one for grins, no matter what he had. He had a 90 degree, but I'll go back with the same tool that I had selected. Again, he could try the 90 degree for these figurines as well. But I'm just going to do the 15 degree here. And I'm not looking at feeds and speeds and passes. That's not the point of this video. It was kind of just give my customer a quick idea of what a good stage of workflow would be to do all this. So this is just a quick video. I'm not spending much time editing it. I'm just getting the ideas across, and that's a nice little stacked, multi-depth, multi-dimensional project to make. A lot of calculating going on there. And as soon as it's done, I'll rename that file, and then I'll see that I have everything in the order that I want. And close up this movie and send it off. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call, text, or email Eric Schiller, Yeti Tools Southeast, and that's www.yetismartbench.com. Sales at Yeti SmartBench if you want to send an email. Sales at yetismartbench.com. So I appreciate everyone watching. I'm going to rename this, and this was also the 15 degree. And so then when we look at this, I can easily see I can batch these two together, assuming I have the space that I need based on my PVC sizes. I may have to do separate pieces because he may be buying this in 18-inch squares. So, but these two, if not, if I can get a 36 by 36, I can put these two together, let it cut them together, and these two together, and these two together. So I could only have 3 tools to do the whole multi-stacked project. If I have to cut them on 18-inch squares, well then yeah, I would have to play with that a little bit. But again, these letters, these males could be put on the inside of this badge, because this badge on the inside of this is waste. So it's a real quick way to get a nice easy setup, and you just grab them. You can break these apart. Right now they're grouped. There's 2 different groups there. There's this group of letters and this group of letters, but I can ungroup them. I can just hit the right button and convert them to curves, and then those individual, but that has to be the final time for those letters. Again, I can cut those, and then I can come over here and adjust the tolerances on the pocket side to get everything to work right. But if I wanted to I mean, those would fit if I just grabbed that set and moved them down. I could rotate them 90 degrees and they would easily fit in there. You get the idea, but I'm making this video much longer than it needs to be. And if that doesn't work, we can, again, break this into curves by touching it, hit the right button, convert to curves, and now these are individuals. They're not letters anymore per se. They're shapes of letters. So I could take this group, because I've grabbed them as a group, and move them. Or I could do one individual at a time. But they're no longer associated with the curve, with the text tool over here. And they're no longer associated as a group. They're just individual shapes, which is fine. Because these, that's why I copied them, these are still done as a group, and they're text. If I go to the text, I'd be able to make, well, he did it in a different font apparently. Anyway, he did it in a font that I don't have, but yes, I could, it's still a text setup, and I can do it and make any changes I want there, but I'm not going to do any changes. I'm going to let his drawing stay, and edit, undo, text. So that's how we do it. If I can help you in any way, Eric Schiller, sales at Yeti SmartBench, 205-871-6618. Thanks.